Hey folks, welcome back. I'm here squaring off this newly poured epoxy and red oak table. A lot of people may wonder kind of how you get a square. You may see the YouTube videos of people just doing it on these big fancy table saws, and man, that's awesome. I wish I could do that, but not everybody has that much money or that much space, etc. One thing you should definitely invest in if you're going to be making epoxy tables or anything like that is a Festool track saw, or pardon me, any track saw that's quality. Quality matters, okay? But I personally use Festool because I believe it to be the best. They've also got a fantastic dust extraction system that keeps dust away. Anyways, so what I normally do is when you pour these slabs, you've got forms set up and you try as best you can to get those forms to be perfectly square. Granted, when they're 8 feet long and you're using the HDPE sheets, which is basically almost like Teflon, it's a real hard plastic that epoxy won't stick to. When you're using that and you pour this much epoxy into a form, it's going to bow at some point. So you're going to have spots where there's not a perfectly straight line. It is what it is. But you've got to figure out where you're going to take a straight line from. What I normally do is I'll take the short ends, and if I can find a square edge that looks squarish to me, right? I know that I cut this red oak square when I put it in the form, and I can see the line of red oak going straight up and down this. So I know this line is relatively square. So what I did was I set my track up here, and I squared up to this side, and then I made a cut. And now I'm going to measure how long I want this table to be on the other side, and then cut that side, and then I've got basically 2 edges to make a 90 off for these long cuts on the sides, which are really important, especially to tables. So check it out. All right, so the finished size of this table is going to be 92 inches by 52 inches, which I realized I said 8 foot earlier. It's a little short, whatever. But regardless, so 92 inches, I've marked here and here as well. And I'm going to take this track and make sure I line it up with those lines. Another great thing about Festool tracks is that they've got, when you buy the saw and the track, it's got this little piece of, for lack of a better terminology, plastic that basically is attached to the edge of this. And it's longer than where your blade will contact, right? So imagine this is your blade, this is that piece of plastic. And the reason for that is the first cut you make is to cut through that plastic, and that way you know exactly where, right, your line will be, because that plastic is literally where your saw will cut through. So it lines up exactly where you need it to. I love it. Make sure to check both sides a bunch of times before you clamp down, because sometimes it'll shift on you. They've also got these great one-handed clamps. Not trying to make a commercial or anything, but I wouldn't mind some investment. All right. So. It's important to try and keep your track clean as much as possible between cuts, because this is what your saw is riding on. So if this is dirty and there's any interference, your cut will be affected as well. Alright. And safety first. Now, one thing that's definitely important about making cuts like this slab is, or this table rather, is just over 2 inches, right? So you don't want to start with a full bore cut all the way through, because you're going to burn your blade up, you're going to make the workpiece look like crap. So what I've been taught is to do it in increments. I usually use about 1/2 inch increments, and so this Festool, got a little stop here, and you move it all the way up to the 1/2 inch mark, and that way when you plunge cut, it only goes down 1/2 inch, and it's very accurate. It's great. Great.